Okay, hello and welcome to the 2022 Spades Championship. Here we have Dylan Fryer versus Baby Jamie in the first round match. Okay, Baby Jamie puts Dylan in check. Dylan jacks their way out of it. Okay. Jamie goes for the ace. The ace resolves. Okay. Now Dylan is mounting an offense of their own. Jamie draws, which means Dylan has a chance to seize the board. Okay, with that, it's check. Jamie has to respond to this unless they call a bluff on Dylan's part. But Dylan does have it, so you need to answer to avoid a loss. Okay, they scuttle their way out, which gives Dylan perhaps some confidence that they can continue to push, and they do. That puts Jamie in check yet again. Has to one off, but now the ace counters, and that is good game. First game in Baby Jamie versus Dylan Fryer's round one match of the Spades 2022 Championship. Goes to Dylan Fryer. All right. So, Danman and Parma2, have you been able to find each other to start a match? You'll play a casual game on the site. You all are clear on the approach? Okay, sweet. And yes, it is best 2 out of 3 to answer the question about that with any stalemates ignored. All right, going off mic again. So, Baby Jamie versus Dylan Fryer, game 2. Dylan makes the first play on the board, putting a queen down. That sets up some potential defensive plays for later to keep their stuff secure. That'll block any 2s, 9s, or jacks that Baby Jamie might play. Baby Jamie destroys the queen immediately with a 2. Doesn't want to leave that lying around. The queen often is a sleeper threat that will get you when you haven't yet. Like by the time you try to respond to it, if you're already in check, then it's too late, essentially. Okay. Jamie is considering what to take. Goes with a queen. Ooh, okay, a 3 in response. Picking up the 2. That's an interesting combination. That may result in the 2 of them simply trading 3s because if the same queen is played and then a 2 could be used to destroy it, or otherwise the 2 might wind up having another use later on. We'll see. Jamie considering a play. Okay. First points on the board. Dylan considering the king response. Opting instead to jack. Okay, so that turns around the initiative. Now, Dylan has the offensive advantage, the initiative, as I often call it, and would win in a race to the finish at this point. Let's see. Okay, 7 is played as a one-off. Ooh, it reveals a 2 and a 4. That is nice for Jamie, who can now target the jack to get his points back. Does it resolve? Okay, it does. Dylan holding that 2 for a rainy day. Okay, Dylan pushing their own offense. This is a bit risky because Jamie has the initiative. So if Jamie plays offensively here, and I would think the king being the strongest option, that puts Dylan in check, and the turn that Dylan spent playing the king does them no good in defending against this very high-level check. That might force a scuttle. But Jamie draws. And now the king-king check coming from Dylan puts Jamie in a tight spot. They have really only 2 options here. The 7 is countered. No time for the heart of the cards. And Dylan takes the first match. Okay, great. So I believe Dylan and Jamie, you just finished your match, if I have that correct. Is that right? Okay. So could either of you please announce in the Spades 2022 channel? Thank you. I'm going to update the bracket now. So that, as long as it's like both players and the score is clear, I think that's enough. All right. So that's the first match of the tournament. Very nice. So, Dylan, you now have a bit of a wait. You are going to play the winner of HF Romeo's match, and HF Romeo is going to play the winner of Parma and Dan Man. Correct. Was that another match that just finished? Versus Neosloth. Okay, so that's 2 for Alian, correct? Okay, great. 2, 1. Sweet. So I believe the both of you will now also have a bit of a wait. You're waiting for the DP Rizmiat match. Alian will play the winner, and Neosloth and Baby Jamie are waiting their opponents in the losers bracket. Okay, great. Yeah, that is perfectly reasonable. Thank you. I should put it in there, shouldn't I? It's cuttle_cards for reference. Please don't watch your opponent's streams. Yeah. Just, thought I would float that. Okay, so I'm going to update the root post here in the Spades 2022 channel. It's twitch.tv/cuttle_cards. Nice. Okay. That I'm going to pull up another match. Okay. Oh, computer's being slow. Yeah, so Romeo, I just did for the first time post the Twitch link in the Spades 2022 channel. It's at the top of the channel. In that first post, I just edited it to add the Twitch link. And it's twitch.tv/cuttle_cards. So anybody here who has folks that might want to watch that they could share it with, like, please feel free. That would be great. All right, let's see. Yeah, I should probably edit that. Yeah. It's off by like 12 weeks. Nice. Okay. Cool. Now to wrangle the stream. There we go. Ha! Got it. Okay. With that, I'm going to mute and commentate another game. All right, so here we have Dan Man versus Arana. And Dan is in check, needs to play defensively somehow or else call a bluff. In this case, we can see that Arana has it. So Dan plays a 6, which cannot be countered because Dan had a queen on the field at the time the 6 was played. So it didn't matter that Parma had a 2, which could have been used otherwise to counter for the win. All right. Parma's got the board. Ooh, it's a harsh 4. We'll see if Parma resolves it. This is a tough call because Parma can either counter the 4 in which case they lose their 2 essentially, or they could look to keep it. I think it makes sense to counter in that situation. And thankfully for Parma, the queen prevents Parma's counter from being countered back, despite the fact that Dan has a 2. And that means that Dan wasn't able to counter to completely obliterate Parma's hand. So Parma still has the board. 9 and a 4. Which are they going to play? They can't scuttle with that 9, so they take the 4. That hits Parma's hand very hard. Which permanent are they going to take? Okay, they keep the king. It's a strong offense still. So Parma's got this significant offensive advantage, but is lower on total cards. But at any point, they could push for the win. So we'll see when they take it, if at all. If Parma plays the king here, I don't think Dan has an answer. They'd be forced to 7. Okay, what are they taking? A 6 would be very handy right now, or else the 10 of spades for scuttling purposes. A jack does no good. What will Dan choose? Okay, the 10 of spades. So that's either offensive or defensive, depending on the need. But again, Parma could push here. Playing points would make Parma open to an ace, but Dan doesn't have an ace. So this is a very strong offense right now, sort of banking on Dan not having the optimal answer, although I'm not sure how many aces are currently left in the deck. This is very strong. If Parma pushes optimally, I don't think Dan can answer. But a draw makes sense. It's a bit conservative. Okay. So what will Dan discard? It's to lose 2 cards. The jack is no good in their hand until that queen is dealt with. That's a controversial choice. Okay, so that 2 on the queen can't be countered, although Parma doesn't have a 2, because Parma doesn't have a 2. And now the jack is suddenly open for Dan. So that really improves their defensive position. Will Parma consider points? Okay. Second points, again, very vulnerable to an ace if there were one. A jack turns things around, but Parma could continue to push. That would force a scuttle that might ultimately be favorable. But currently, Dan does have the scuttling options. Okay, playing the 6. Just going to get that right back. That allows Parma to get much more value out of her 6. If she played it otherwise, it wouldn't have been, it's hard to scuttle necessarily. Okay, so again, Parma could push here. But Dan can scuttle. I mean, 10 of spades, 10 of hearts, really strong combination. Okay, Parma puts Dan back in check. This forces a scuttle. There's no other answer. That's got to hurt. But now Parma doesn't have the points to win. They do again now, however. Oh, Parma draws. Okay, it looks like they're going to draw the last 2 cards in the deck at this point. We'll see. Parma can go on the offense at any point. All right, plays the 9. Oh, the ace would lose to the 2, and it does. That is going to be good game for Parma. They can counter. Dan does not have a counter back. The conservative move is to scuttle because it can't be countered, but that was a high payoff potentially if it worked out, because that would have been both points instead of only dealing 1 for 1 with the scuttle. But counter destroyed it. And that works out for Parma. That's game 1. All right. Why don't I adjust the stream? Make sure it's correctly renamed. All right. Never mind. So they're in again. Parma to play first. Dan with the extra card. Who will be the first to play? Great. All right. Now the stream should be correctly named. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Nice. What will Dan discard? Do they really want those threes? Need to discard two. But a three could be anything. Could even be a jack. All right, Parma. What's the play? Parma notably doesn't have enough points to win currently. Oh, and now with glasses on Parma, it's the cat's out of the bag that Parma doesn't have the points. So what's the play? They can't rush on offense here because they simply can't muster it. But they're close. They have some strong pieces. And now suddenly the balance has shifted. Parma does have enough offense. But using the 6 for its one-off effect to destroy the glasses means that Parma's hand is no longer revealed. However, they still don't have the points to win anymore. That 3 is relatively expendable. 9 is a high point card to lose. Parma's banking on those jacks, keeping them safe and providing a lot of value. Dan is sitting on enough 2s to destroy both of those jacks in a pinch. So we'll see how that pans out. All right, just trying to open up the stream chat. Okay, sweet. I found the chat. Sorry, folks. I'm not super experienced at this whole streaming situation. More the cuddle and the making of the site. So now I can participate a little bit more. Great. Okay. So notably now, Dan is sitting on a queen with an ace in hand, which means that Dan can play an uncounterable ace to destroy all of the points. So if they can use that to leverage a 2-for-1 exchange where they destroy 2 point cards with their ace, that would be really advantageous for Dan's position. If I were Dan, I'd be looking to muscle the opportunity to do that right now by sort of finagling Parma into a position where they wind up playing 2 point cards. Okay, so the 7 will resolve. Oh no, the 7 is countered, I see. Now, Parma jacks. I just realized I completely misspoke. It's Parma that has the queen. So, oh wait, no. Yes, okay, goodness. Got briefly confused. Dan has the queen and the jack. Um, and currently, if Dan were to have the opportunity to push, they could force a very strong offense. Now, notably, the 10 of clubs is scuttleable by the 10 of diamonds. And because the queens block those jacks, that is currently Parma's only defensive out in this situation. It is, however, enough because Dan does not have sufficient offense to keep pushing. So scuttling that 10 of clubs with the 10 of diamonds is the only play. But this now buys at least 2 turns while Dan needs to draw enough answers essentially to mount a threat. Meanwhile, having 2 jacks in hand for Parma is rough with the queen currently blocking. Ooh, okay. Parma pushing their own offense. Now Dan mounts a check. This is it, folks, because Parma has to ace, and now Dan can counter. Uncounterable counter because of the queen. If Parma was able to counter back, the ace would have resolved and they would have continued to have a fight on their hands. However, with that, it is 1-1. Okay, so on to game 3. Oh, I see another message in the Spades channel. Do we have another match to resolve? Nice. Okay, TP Brian 2 against Rizmiant. Nice. Okay, 2-1. All right. I assure everyone I did not rig the shuffler. I used a standard library utility to do the shuffling for me. All right, let's pull up game 3 between Parma and Dan Man. Already off with a bang. Nice. Okay. So Parma with a 3 for points is a bit of a cheeky play because it can convert into a check in ways that force unfavorable defensive options for Dan Man, but it doesn't gel very nicely with the king because a king lowers the goal to 14 points, and that means that a 3 isn't enough to threaten check with a 3 plus a king. So here, Marana really needs to draw. Sorry, Parma 2 needs to draw to muster enough points to mount an offense. It's always an awkward situation. Have your opponent have a glasses 8 and reveal your hand. You can notice now that Dan Man has can see Parma's cards because of their glasses 8. It's tough when that situation is played at you and you don't have enough points to threaten a check. It's very disempowering because it means that offense is sort of removed as an option from your toolkit, which can be really threatening. I mean, often in situations where you might not even have enough points to win, you could potentially bluff that you do have enough points to win by playing enough offensive cards that it looks like you could mount a win the following turn. And if your opponent doesn't call your bluff, you might be able to trade lower value cards essentially for higher ones in a way that can ultimately defend, essentially, like get you out of a situation where you didn't have the defensive tools to prevent your opponent from winning, but you can force them to spend their offensive tools as defense against your not actually good enough combination of cards. So that trick is removed with the glasses. Now the glasses are taken out, so Parma's hand is no longer revealed. Dan got a good look at most of the cards that are currently in Parma's hand, but still, the element of surprise is kind of reintroduced now. We'll see how that pans out. Okay, so King Queen is a strong combination. The optimal answer generally to that is a 6, which Parma does not have. But now Parma's in a position where they can put Dan in check. Okay, they're returning the queen, considering returning the queen back to Dan's hand. But now there comes the queen again. So it's that queen-king combo, and Parma's not drawn a 6 in the meantime. However, Parma could bluff check. They play the 9. That puts them at 12 points, which means they'd only need a 9 or more to win. They wouldn't actually have it. Dan has seen much of what Parma's drawn. Not all of it, so let's see. Okay, so this means Parma's now check. It needs to play defensively. Their options are somewhat limited because the queen blocks use of 2s or jacks to, or 9s for that matter, to target the king or the 7. So the jack is blocked. We can see that. So Parma can scuttle or play an ace. Oh, but the use on the 9 is too little too late. Now Dan can play to win, and that's good game. 2-1 goes to Dan Man. All right. Okay, Dan Man and Parma, that was match, correct? 2-1. All right, so with that, Romeo, you will be playing Dan Man. All right, scores. Not ready. And Rizmiant, you are playing Parma. All right, nice. I'm gonna hop back to the stream now. Okay, so let's. Okay, so good. Stop watching. Okay, these are not the same. Apologies, folks. I'm trying to man the different. Okay, let's watch Alien versus DP. Okay, so DP's unable to stream their screen right now. So we'll just watch this one from Alien's perspective. Okay. Alien going for the 3. Does it resolve? So the 3 resolves. Alien gets to choose their card. What will they take? Currently, DP does not have any points on the board, which means the jack is not immediately usable. However, they could choose it as a deterrent. Otherwise, they could take more points, perhaps. 8 being the highest, a 6 for sort of good measure later on to defend against royals that are not currently on the board. Choose the offense. Okay. Looks like they're leaning towards the 8. All right, Alien takes the 8. So does DP choose to play offensively in this moment? Any offense essentially over, 4 or more points would put check. So that's check. Jacked back, which means that Ollie has DP in check. DP must answer somehow. Scuttle. An ace would be the highest yielding answer to this because they could get the 2 for 1, destroying both the 7 and the 9. However, Alien is sitting on that 2 they can use to counter. And so the question is, if DP chooses to ace, or generally to one-off in some capacity to get out of this situation, do they have a 2? Because if not, then any one-off is a losing play. Okay, so they did not play a one-off, perhaps because they don't have a 2, or perhaps because they're choosing to hold on to it. 2 defensively destroys the king here. We'll see if it resolves. It does. Okay. So Alien has the board. Will they push an offense? Now they'll draw again. So that's check. 15 points on the board. You only need 6 or more, which they do have, but this is a tenuous hold. Okay, so scuttled their way out of it. And now Alien no longer has the tools in hand to push for an offense. They'd have to bluff. Suddenly, that draw gives Alien an offensive viable option. 17 points on the board is check. DP to answer. Will they one-off their way out of this? Alien no longer has a counter available. Scuttled with the 10 of spades. Okay. So both the 10 of diamonds and the 10 of spades are currently scrapped, lowering the available pool of points. Alien still does not have the tools in hand for a 3-card offense. So they will likely choose to a 6 would be a very surprising play in this situation. So 6 destroys all the royals, which in this case, the only royal in play is the jack, and it's Alien's jack. Okay, 7 makes much more sense. So the king now bluffs a check. Oh, that was a big 6 from DP. It destroyed both the king and the jack. Now DP has the 7. So interestingly here, Alien has 2 jacks. Ooh, a one-off. This is high yielding if it works. If DP counters, that's good game. Well played. With the 3 7s for exactsies. Nice. Okay. That was a good one. So the ace in that situation was high risk and high reward, because if it resolved, that would have been 2 for 1 trade, destroying both the point cards for just the cost of the ace itself. But it's also counterable, which ultimately is what lost the game in that situation. Okay, cool. Got Rismiant and Parma 2. And Romeo and Dan Man. All right. Okay, so let's pull up some streams. Okay, so Parma and Rismiant. Grid. Let's show the non-video participants. Let's see, Rismiant streaming. No, Rismiant's not streaming. Okay. Okay, let's watch this game then. Romeo and Dan Man. There we go. I'll make it bigger. Cool. Okay. So Romeo scuttles their way out, which was the conservative option. Any one-offs that Romeo played in that situation, Dan would have countered. And that would have been that, since Romeo themselves doesn't have a counter back. But now, will they mount an offense? Will they play mate for glasses? Go for utility? What's the play? Romeo looking at the scrap pile, taking the lay of the land. Dan is sitting on 3 jacks right now. If Romeo plays points into those jacks, that'll likely cost the game. Those jacks are one of the single most powerful cards. When they work and they do their thing and you're stealing opponents' points, it's a combination of initiative and value. It switches who's closer to winning while also giving you more total cards than your opponent by effectively costing you 0 and costing them a card while getting a card on the board. It's incredibly powerful. Okay, 2 on the king. A little trigger happy there, but it does slow the offense. What now? Okay, so at 8 cards, Dan has to play. They play a 6, so Romeo could counter if they want to keep their queen, or they could resolve if they want to keep the 2 in their hand. It's a tough call, but the choice to counter here likely will pay off because Dan is sitting on those 3 jacks, which Romeo doesn't otherwise really have an answer to. But now here comes the 6 again. Romeo doesn't have a counter to hide behind anymore. So it resolves. Looking at that scrap pile. No 3s. Just figuring things out. All right. Romeo's considering an offense. Here's a situation where glasses really might pay off. Like the insight into the jacks in particular. It's so lopsided. And Romeo is sitting on a jack, which in and of itself is a powerful thing. But if it comes to playing jacks to steal each other points, Dan is sitting on such an advantage in that regard. And also, Dan has 2 2s, which makes the ace incredibly powerful. Oh, and here's the glasses. Okay, so Romeo now knows. Cat is out of the bag. Dan is sitting on all defensive utility, essentially. No offense that Dan can mount on their own, which means, especially if Romeo is able to mount an offense that cannot be jacked, they have a much better chance. Oh. Okay, great. Looks like you were able to get back into the game. Good stuff. If in general, if anybody disconnects from their game, just try going to the link, like the the URL of the game, which should be the same game ID at the end, but it would be like /game and then the ID as opposed to /lobby, something like that. And in a pinch, like an opponent can send you the link to where they currently are, and that should bring you into the game. All right. So Romeo can see that if they just play points, it's not going to go well into those 3 jacks. Granted, they do have a jack of their own. But then what's the move? Oh, the ace for points. A legendary play we rarely see. Ace is synonymous with its one-off effect, perhaps more than any other card. The 2, I suppose, being the other serious competitor in that regard, because it's almost ubiquitously played for that purpose. However, in this case, Romeo is able to mount an offense with an ace 10. That's 11 points, which would put Dan in check. But that's a tight situation because Romeo is only able to follow that up with the 10 that they have in their hand. So we'll see if they push for it. Perhaps they're just stalling to an extent to let their cards fill up in their hand. But they see those jacks. So what to discard in this situation? Looking to keep their offensive pieces, I think. So the 6 is an interesting one because it does destroy royals, which could be really valuable against the jacks. However, it's also counterable. So that's somewhat thinner ice, I think, in this situation, given that Dan has 3 2s and Romeo knows it. So we'll see. Like, really, the way to make use of that ace for points is by playing a 10, but that just walks into the jack war that Romeo doesn't want to fight right now. So let's see how they navigate this. Okay, Dan gets to choose either the 7 or the 5. They chain 2 7s. So they can either play the queen now or they can play the 5 to draw. All right, they play the queen. So now they're sitting on those 2 royals. But will Romeo answer with a 6? If they do, it can be countered. So it would be trading a 6 for a 2, essentially, assuming that Dan wants to keep their cards on the field enough to counter for it. All right. So what is the play? King's an interesting choice because it does facilitate mounting an offense, but it also doesn't make use of the ace that's already out there. Okay. So this is not check. A king out reduces the points needed to only 14, but Romeo's only got 1 point. Dan draws. Romeo draws to a full hand. Okay. All right, so another match reported. Okay, 2 and a king. So at this point, Dan's been reduced to just 1 2 in hand. Still sitting on those 3 jacks. And that 2 is currently protected by a queen that Dan has on the board. So that's still a strong position, although Dan does not have an offense that they can mount, so they cannot currently win. Ditching a jack and a 4. Up. The reciprocal 4 right back. This is a doozy of a game. So now, again, Romeo's in a position where they could do the 11-point check, which is a cheeky move, but it plays into jacks. It looks like Romeo's trying to navigate to get to make use of this 6. I mean, normally 6 against a king-queen is a strong thing to pull off. But they know that Dan Man's able to counter. So they could be saving it for a situation where they're hoping it's able to resolve. But trading it for a 2 is not a terrible thing either, because then Dan's out of 2s at that point. And if Romeo has to play that 6 defensively after they're already in check, then it's too little too late. Okay, so the queen out will protect Romeo's one-offs. The 2 is immediately spent to destroy it. But now Romeo can see that Dan doesn't have a 2, so the 6 would resolve. It would be a 2 for 3 trade if Romeo plays the 6. They'll lose the 8 of diamonds they already have out, as well as their 6, and then Dan will lose their 8, king, and queen, which is up a card. That's a favorable trade, all in all. But even better, actually, this is a strong time for Romeo to consider an offense, because if they play offensively, now that 6 is a devastating answer to the jacks. So they might have been able to maneuver their dream situation here, because when Romeo plays the 10, this is check. They have 11 points. They could win next turn with their other 10. So now Dan jacks, but suddenly this 6 is a huge trade. I mentioned earlier it would have been a 3 for 2. Now this potential 6 one-off, if they go for it, they can see it'll resolve because they have glasses, would be a 4 for 2 trade. That is devastating. That's up 2 cards in total. And it's not a 4 for 2, it's a 4 for 1, because while Romeo would lose the 8 of diamonds, they would get the 10 of clubs back. That would be a devastating play. We'll see if there's something else in the works. But this is check. Oh my gosh, saving it. The patience here. But this is a dangerous game, because every draw here is a threat. All right, the 6 can't be countered. This is a huge swing. That very well may clinch the game. Four cards destroyed, 1 gained. Another jack comes in. So the 10 would be check again in a sneaky way. If Romeo plays the 10 right now, they'd have 11 points. They'd need 10 to win. Okay, they don't. They draw. But the 9 can be used to return that jack back to Dan's hand, at which point the 10 would return to Romeo, making that a potential way to squeak out a higher point card win than one would otherwise expect, given the fact that with 11 points you need 10 more to win. You need to have a 10. So Romeo's actually got some sneaky options here when it comes to their offensive composition, because of that jack, in addition to the ace for points. Fabled. This is a tough situation for Dan. Now that they're up on potentially But they're not actually up on initiative. And they're down on value. That's really the tough thing is if it comes to a war of attrition, just duking it out, trading cards one for one, Romeo's got enough to rip through the cards that Dan has and then follow up with enough points to win in all likelihood. So this is a dire situation for Dan, who in all likelihood is looking to angle for a stalemate at this juncture because pulling off a win would be miraculous, really. Okay, end of the deck means both players can look through the scrap pile to really identify what's happening, who has what, essentially. It's like both players have glasses eights in a sense, though there's some deduction to do nonetheless. These end game fights can be a doozy. Yeah, here Romeo's considering just trying to work out exactly which cards Dan has. So now notably, Dan has those threes, which means Dan can retrieve basically any card they want from the scrap pile. That's very powerful, especially when looking to sort of make it through a tough situation at the end of the game like they are right now. So the queen from Romeo is a conservative play. They've got time. They're saying, I'm able to, in all likelihood, make use of the overall card advantage that they've accrued through the game, trading cards efficiently or inefficiently and still having enough to win, essentially. But this will protect their other cards. Okay, so the 10 of spades. So Dan's got a heavy hitter there. That can trade one for one or potentially could push for a win. I mean, I said it would take a miracle for Dan to pull this off, and perhaps they've got a miracle up their sleeve. Let's find out. Okay, cheeky point play here. I mentioned the potential inefficiency with which HF Romeo is able to proceed given their overall card advantage, but a 6-point offense with 2 cards is highly inefficient. Like normally you try to win with 3 cards because that's the minimum it takes and it's something that's generally musterable. But in this case, anything that Romeo does, because they have that ace and 5 out, would require at least 4 cards offensively, which means if it comes to playing an ace, Romeo loses out on more cards because of that. But maybe they've got the cards to spare depending on how this all shakes out. Let's find out. Oh, spicy minimum offense. So that's 12 points, which means they could win with a 9 or a 10. Dan plays the ace. Can't be countered. Okay. So that's like an overall high efficiency trade from Dan, who now could only theoretically win if they had both of their 10s and were able to jack one card. But the jack is currently useless, and they actually won't have the chance to play it at all because of that queen. All right, so now we're going to see a scuttle, I think. Well, if not this turn, they could pass and wait for it, but I think this has come to a draw. Dan Man was able to pull it off because they're able to scuttle any card that Romeo plays. And Romeo needs those 3 big beefy point cards to win. Okay, with that, I believe we are seeing the first stalemate of the tournament. Well played, folks. I think that was the first stalemate of the tournament so far. Nice. Okay. Is everybody clear on who they're playing? Do y'all have the bracket generally? I'm gonna take a. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. So DP, you're waiting for the winner of Dylan Fryer's match, and Dylan will play the winner of this match between Romeo and Dan Man. Which what's the current score in that? If I can ask, Dan Man and Romeo. I just I just had the stalemate. What? Okay, okay, got it. 1-0 and 0. Okay, great. So yeah, that's correct. Um, and then Neo Sloth and Riz will play when Riz is back. Okay, great. Cool. I'll finish up on this one. I'm actually going to pause the stream for a second, and I'll be back in a moment. All right. Okay, I am back. Hey, so we are in with Dan Man and HF Romeo playing their third game. Currently, Dan Man is down 0 and 1 with one stalemate against Romeo. That was their last game just streamed. Okay. Dan plays a 3. It resolves. Dan's choice of card. They take a king. All right. Back to Romeo, who's pondering the scrap. All right, points on the board. And the king to answer. It's always bold to play offense second because first player follows up. All right, that's check. Now Dan's got to answer, but countered by the ace. And that's good game. So there, the gotcha is the queen to cover the 2. Made an uncounterable counter. So Dan was unable to counter back with the 2 that they had, which in this case cost the game. So that's GG 2-0 for Romeo. All right. Okay, so now Dylan will play Romeo in the next round. And the winner of that match will go on to play DP. And then we have Baby Jamie and Dan Man in the losers bracket. All right, so let's go back to square one. These. Okay, so why don't we watch? Let's watch the HF Romeo Dylan Fryer match. Okay, so I'm going to show the participants. Dylan Fryer. And let's see. Oh, you know what? Okay, I see this one is already up. Okay, we can watch Dan versus Baby J. Always takes some finagling with the Discord to get that right. Okay, so again, we see the ace for points. That's such a spicy move. All right. Ooh, jacks on jacks. All right. So how does Dan answer? The 6 will blow up their own king, but we destroy 2 jacks, which means check again. So that's still a pretty favorable option. They do, yes. But countered by Jamie. That is good game. Yeah, scuttling is the conservative option that will always guarantee you live at least one more turn in the game, though it's not the most efficient because it always costs you one larger card to destroy one smaller card. Can't be countered. So that is the defensive move that always keeps you in the game. But sometimes it's too expensive. All right, let's go into game 2 between Dan Man and Baby Jamie. So, who will be the first to take the board? Both players fill up their hands. Jamie hits Dan with a 4. They got to discard 2 cards. Often the 3 is an early discard option because at this stage in the game, there just aren't many cards in the scrap that are valuable, and it takes a turn to get them. But Dan opts to take both 3s. We'll see what cards they resurrect later on. Okay, Jamie first to take the board with a king, so that offense has begun. How does Dan answer? Looking at the scrap, maybe seeing if there's anything worth taking with a 3. Okay, playing points. Great, thank you, thank you. All right. Dan scuttles their way out of it. Jamie draws. So Dan is sitting on some powerful jacks here. Jamie's got a jack as well. Okay, the first 3. That was saved. Ooh. Taking the jack of diamonds. Okay, so Dan is again sitting on 3 jacks. And now Jamie knows that Dan's got a jack. Jamie has a jack of their own. But Dan's got 3 of them. So if it comes to jacking back and forth, Dan has a strong advantage there. But Dan does not have enough of an offense to win on their own. They need Jamie to play points they can steal. And there's the first of them. Now, okay, and here it is again. Jack. So now Jamie could consider continuing an offense because at this point we've already seen two. So spades are the highest suit, and then hearts after that, and then diamonds, and then clubs. Or like spades are the best because they're cool, and clubs suck, and love is better than money, right? So hearts over diamonds. Alphabetical is a little more succinct. Okay. Jamie considering their options. We're going to see another three here. Threes all day. Okay. Is Dan going to let it happen or will they counter with a two? They resolve it. Jamie's choice of card from the scrap. What do they want? Another jack. Oh, so many jacks and threes this game. Queen comes down. That is a harsh answer to threeing for a jack. It's not what you want to see. You choose a jack from a three. And it's the 10 of diamonds is stolen. All right. Now what? 6. It does resolve. Okay, that's a two for one trade net because the 10 came back as well. And when I say 2 for 1, I'm counting the total number of cards lost by each player after a turn. Okay, that's check. The ace here would be another 2 for 1. Jamie's got a counter, but so does Dan. So if I were Jamie, I mean, the interesting thing about that is even if this works out, Jamie doesn't have the points to win right now, but Dan counters back. It's a 3 for 2 trade. That puts Dan up a card. And there's, I believe, the fourth 3. I think we've now seen all threes. Ooh, countered with a 2. All right. Respected. So now what? They're both at 3 cards, which means Dan is slightly ahead in initiative, although no longer because that 8 is played for glasses, but this could give valuable information. See how it pans out. Dan can see the ace queen. They already should know about the jack because that was revealed when it was taken with a 3. All right. Glasses 8, continuing to reveal the hand. Six would be a 2 for 1 here. That's a big trade if it pans out. Oh no, I apologize. It's 2 for 2, counting the glasses 8s. Although the glasses are a little bit funky, so I don't exactly count them in quite the same way as the other royals that get destroyed with a 6, since they're providing the benefit of revealing the opponent's hand, but they're not actively sort of putting you towards a win in the same way the other cards are. Still, on the board, it would be a 2 for 2 trade. Ooh, now a 3 for 2 trade. That makes this 6 really tempting. And actually, I suppose it's a 3 for 1 trade because Dan lost their 6 that they played and the glasses, but then they got the 10 back. So net, they only lost 1 card. They destroyed 3. That's a very efficient play in total. Okay, here's check, but the ace from Jamie can't be countered, which means that's a 2 for 1 trade. Very favorable for Jamie, and now they're back on relatively even playing ground again. Okay, check. Ooh, tough situation. Jamie draws. The 9 could have been played for a 1-off to buy 1 turn. It may not have been enough. But perhaps it could have. Okay, so that is 1 and 1 for Jamie and Dan Man. Very cool. On to game 3. Let's check quickly. Any matches that have been resolved? No. Okay. Back to the stream. All right, on to game 3. Winner of this one will take it unless they stalemate. So, Dan's turn. Draws. Ooh, into the early 4. Personally, I'm partial to discarding 3s and 4s when I get hit with an early 4 as a rule of thumb. I find them less useful early on, a little more disposable, but then hitting back with a 4 as well is another option. So what does Dan discard this time? Ace 3, okay. Now both players have only 4 cards and not enough to win, so they both want to just draw at this point, get something more substantive they can use to actually mount a viable offense. All right, queen on the board. How's Dan going to respond? They could start pushing back. A nice thing about responding to a face card with another face card is that it reduces the effectiveness of 6s from your opponent, because they'll just, in order to 6 to destroy your face cards, they need to destroy their own as well, which makes it a less efficient play. But similarly, it makes your own cards, your own 6s, less efficient. So if they push in such a way that you're forced to use a one-off, you might have to destroy your own stuff. The same goes for points. Okay, 3 for a one-off. Seen a lot of 3s this match. Taking an ace. Okay, so ace chosen by Jamie with a queen on the board means that if Dan plays points into that ace, it can't be countered, and it's an easy 2 for 1 for Jamie. Okay, so we are seeing a strong offense here. That was a very timely 6, because if Dan had played their king, they would have had king, king, 10, or king, king on the board with a queen as well, meant that they would have had a very dangerous check, which only one-offs could answer. All right, back to Dan Man. How are they going to play this? Taking their time. Interesting situation. So with the glasses, sometimes play slows down because you can really calculate through all the specific options of different play sequences more concretely than when you're just theorizing about what they might have. All right. Relatively early 6. Okay, so no queens anymore. All the aces are in hand. Dan's sitting on 3 of them. Who's going to play first? Okay, king on the board. Now, interestingly, Dan does not have enough to win right now. Jamie doesn't know that. But Dan can't push an offense that actually threatens check in a way they can follow up. Ooh, queen king is very strong, but it's vulnerable to a 6. If Jamie were to 6, it would be a devastating 2 for 1 trade, but They don't have it. So what is the move? Nor do they have a 3 with which to go and get a 6. If they play offensively, they could fall into that jack that Dan is sitting on. And because Dan's got a queen out, Jamie can't use their jack. So it's risky for Jamie to play offensively right now. Okay. So Dan still can't threaten a check. Ooh, but suddenly the king with a 10 in hand offense is devastating. And Jamie may smell something because this is a tricky situation. If Jamie allows Dan to play next turn and Dan plays that king, baby Jamie doesn't have an answer as it stands. Because with the queen out, baby Jamie can only target the queen itself with their 9 or their 2, which means that it'd be too late and Dan would win by the skin of their teeth since Dan barely has enough offense. Ooh, if Dan pushes right now, they'll have it. Oh, okay. Not going for it. I mean, it's risky because if they play into a 6, they're toast. But this jack is really helpful. Now, Jamie has to scuttle it. That's their only answer right now because they can't jack back since the queen is blocking it. They could play an ace, actually. That's an alternative answer. It's not very efficient because it's going to destroy their own 8. But that's an option. Now, again, if Dan plays the king, it's good game. Oh, they drew a counter, which is, it's a strong thing to have. But King 10 is a famously powerful offense. Very vulnerable to a 6. Dan's fortunate they drew the 6, not their opponent. Okay, that's check. Jamie needs to answer. What's baby Jamie going to do? Looks like they're considering a scuttle. Yeah, scuttling with a 7. That's the lowest card they have that gets them out of that situation. It's either consider the 8 because they might have wanted to save the 7 for its one-off effect. Okay, and this is the devastating play. It's too little too late. Baby Jamie has no options that get them out of this situation because they can only target the queen. So they can destroy the queen. It's countered in this case. Doesn't even matter though, because even if the queen was destroyed, King 10 is GG. And Dan Man takes the match. Oh, that was a doozy. What a nail biter. Was that 2-1, Dan Man? Very well played, both of you. Awesome game. All right, so currently, Alien, you're to play Dan Man next. And then we've got Romeo and Dylan. I think that's everybody that's currently playing. Okay, great. Was it already reported? Cool. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, do what you must. Okay, submitted. Okay, so Romeo is to play DP, and Dylan is to play the winner of Neosloth and Rizmiant. All right. So let's see. Yeah, let's watch this one. Got Rizmiant and Neosloth. It's showing on video participants. I can't find. Okay, we'll just watch from Neosloth's perspective. All right, great. So we got a close one here. Not many cards left in the deck. Ooh, this is an interesting choice. So usually when you draw a 2, it's an unfortunate thing from a 7 because you can't draw it to your hand. You have to play it if you want to get rid of it. So this means Rizmiant chose to give the opportunity to draw that 2 to Neosloth, but Neosloth then was hit with a 4, which is pretty devastating. This few cards in the deck. Oh, you got another 4. So that means Neosloth can't win anymore. Oh, they counter, so there's a chance that they could. If Rizmiant counters back, though, it is just going to be devastating. So they counter back. Neosloth has to discard their entire hand. They draw 1 card. This is it's a stalemate. There are not enough points for anybody to win. Oh, wow. What an ending. Yeah, that was wild. Oh my gosh. To be points. Yeah, if you drew the king instead of the queen, that would have been it. Those 4s are devastating. Yeah. But wow. No. Because you need at least 3 offensive cards minimum to win, and the queen is dead in your hand. Yeah, this is a stalemate. But you can draw it out if you want. There's just, oh gosh. Yeah, we can watch the stalemate happen in slow motion. There is not. All you can do now is pass. Yeah. Uh, Thrice between the two of you. So once and then yeah. And there we go. Ah, yeah, that was wild. Neosloth, would you be down to stream? If that's all right. Cool. Yeah, you did not lose. Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a doozy. Man, I love watching this stuff. Okay, so there you are. And then all right, nice. Okay, game 4. Is it 1-1 and oh, or 1-1, I guess? Yeah, nice. So the match is as much of nail biter as the game. All right, I'm gonna mute so I can talk God's eye view here. Rizmiant coming in with the early 4. Sitting on a second 4, so it's a common thing to unload yet another 4 after the first. They sort of compound each other. But Rizmiant chooses to draw, building up some tools. Neosloth lands a queen. That'll protect their future plays. Yeah. Neosloth's got an affinity for queens. Love it. Okay, Rizmiant has to play the 9. The jack is unusable because there's no valid targets. They could play it for points or they could bounce the queen for a turn. What do they choose? Neosloth is sitting on jacks, so normally, like the 9 for points is a much higher value play, but then it walks right into these jacks that Neosloth is sitting on. The 6 here would be a very efficient play if it resolves. But countered. That's bad news for Rizmiant. Y'all can't hear this, but yeah, that was a very very tough situation there for Rizmiant. But now the ace 2 for 1 isn't countered, so that's strong. Okay, Neosloth coming in with the 3. What do they want? Taking a 2. Okay, so they're sitting on a queen 2 combination. That's very powerful. Oh, is Riz going to hit them with a 5? No, they draw. All right. Jack is no good against face cards, and the queen out will block the use of the jack against other points as well. Rizmian is sitting on these 2-2s, which are only useful, well, can only be used on the queen right now itself, which is pretty limiting. All right. Okay, we have all 4 2s in hand. We have the potential for a quad 2 play. One of the more climactic possibilities in Cuttle when you see quadruple counters. Currently, it's impossible because Neosloth has that queen out, which means if they counter, it can't be countered back. So we're not going to see 2s stack all the way, as it were. All right, Rizmian has glasses. They know about the 2-2s from Neosloth. Now they knew about 1 previously from that 3, but now the cat's out of the bag about the double 2s. So what's the move? Rizmian doesn't have enough to mount a viable offense. Neosloth does, but by a very thin margin. They need actually, no, I lied. Neosloth doesn't. Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. They need their king, their 10, and their 4. But they need all 3 of those cards, which means that, again, their margin for error there is very narrow. And if any of those cards is destroyed, they would lose it. Well, not any of them, because they could king 10 without the 4 itself being vulnerable. Sit on the 4 in hand. So this preserves Neosloth's offensive line of play. Queen protects this 10 from being jacked. Neosloth could ace it, which is this conservative. Sorry, Rizmian can ace it, which is the safe thing to do right now. They instead opt to hit the queen. If Neosloth counters, then Rizmian can't counter back, even though Rizmian has an additional 2. And that it's an interesting choice, because if that goes through, now suddenly the jack opens up as a line of play. So now Rizmian has that trick up their sleeve and can't quite muster enough points to win even with that. So here Rizmian could ace. No, they can't ace. I lied, because Neosloth has 2-2s. So that means they have to jack or else scuttle the 4 with the 8, which is a painful move. But granted, any defensive out here will disrupt. Okay, so that is the end of check to an extent, but the 2 now would destroy Rizmian's jack and bring the points back to Neosloth. So Rizmian counters, but counter back. Okay, however, now there's no counters, which opens up the ace as a clean 2-for-1. Pop, and now nobody's got enough to win. They both are just going to draw like crazy as they try to muster a reasonable offense again. Okay, nice. Oh my gosh, so many royals for Neosloth. What are they going to do with that? They have all these kings, but you need points to work with the kings. Love it. Math, y'all. It saves lives. So Rizmian has enough offense, and they see that Neosloth has very few defensive options. They have to scuttle this, which hurts to spend your 10 scuttling, but it'll save your life. So there we go. You scuttled. Now Rizmian can play that 5, draw 2 cards. They don't have enough to win, though. Neither player does. Not in 3 cards anyway. Neosloth could win with a 4-card combo of all 3 kings plus their 9, but that's expensive and slow. Here, Rizmian is drawing queens when they want points. Ooh. Rizmian gets the points to win just as Neosloth draws an ace, which would totally stop Rizmian's offense in its tracks. If they play that for points, then they lose it 2 for 1 to the ace, unless Neosloth chooses to scuttle, which they could in an attempt to bait out a more painful ace. But the ace right now is a 2 for 1 trade, which is the gold standard for an efficient move defensively whenever you can do it. And that scuttle would hurt. The 9 scuttle on the 8 is more reasonable, but 8 for a 4. Ooh, don't play it for points. My life flashed before my eyes seeing that for a moment. Okay, so Neosloth chooses to scuttle the 8 for the 4. Now we're very nautical here. Okay. So, what are we going to see? Again, Rizmian's got the points to push, but that ace is devastating. I mean, are we going to see it now? It would not stop the 10 of spades. Or if Neosloth chooses to play it now, it's not going to be helpful against the biggest, baddest point card that Rizmian has, which is the 10 of spades, but it's still a 2 for 1 trade, which is solid. Is Neosloth looking to grind out for a more high value ace? No, they'll take the 2 for 1. Can't be countered because of the queen, but also all the 2s are spent at this point. Rizmian draws. Okay, but now Rizmian's got king 10 of spades. That's starting to look pretty threatening in hand. Okay, Rizmian now has enough to mount an offense if they push. If they have king plus 10 of spades, it's a strong offense, and they can win with the 5 or the 6 at this point. But there's no time because Neosloth has them in check. So how will Rizmian respond? They can either scuttle the 10 of spades or play the 6, which would destroy their rotate. Okay, they scuttle, and there goes their offense. Now they don't have enough points, but ooh, spicy. All right. So this is almost a bluff, but into Glass's 8s. Interesting. Oh, so that was a dramatic 6. It destroyed 3 total cards, which meant it was a 2 for 2 trade. Rizmian draws, or plays a 5 to draw some cards. Okay, so here we see a legitimate check from Neosloth. Oh, Rizmian draws, but that's it. That's GG. Yeah. All right, so let's score some matches. Dan Man versus Ollie M was 2-0. Okay, and then we just saw Rizmian versus Neosloth, which was 2 for Neosloth. Okay. So that means Dylan Fryer and the Neosloth are up next against each other, and the winner of that match will play against Dan Man. All right, folks, I'm going to pause the stream for a sec. I will be back in a moment. Okay, we are back. Hey, so let's see. At this point, we've got HF Romeo and DP. Let's check on that match. So DP is unable to stream currently, so we're just going to watch from Romeo's perspective. DP and Romeo, what's the score in your current match? Okay, so Romeo is 1-0 currently. This is game 2. Great, thank you. All right, so Romeo's got DP in check. DP's in need of an answer. And Romeo is sitting on a counter. So if DP needs a one-off to defend themselves, they'll need a counter to get through this offense. Okay, so a 6 would destroy the king, but it's going to be countered right now if I were Romeo. Certainly counters in the hope of pushing for a win here. Oh, they let it resolve. That's so surprising. I wonder why. So that could have been a chance to push for a win. It's possible they knew about other 2s, I suppose. We could see DP does have a 2 in their hand. They took one from the scrap. Okay, so Romeo was aware of that too as a reason not to spend their own 2. Interesting. All right, so now what? Romeo could push for an offense if they want. They have no fear of jacks, given that they are sitting on 3 jacks themselves, but an ace could be potentially threatening if Romeo plays more points to maintain their offense, essentially. But, okay, a preemptive jack from DP. How will Romeo answer? They could allow DP to take the initiative and keep it. Thanks for playing. Yeah, thanks for playing. Have a good day. Okay, so we have another match reported. That's 2-0 for Dilfry against the Neoslav. He has Romeo in check. How is Romeo going to answer? Do they respect the check, first of all? Oh, come on, Challenge. Show me some love. All right, so Jack is a strong option here because it steals the card in addition to preventing the opponent from winning. Can only play 1 per turn, though. All right, so now nobody's in check, but DP could follow up with more offense if they want to continue to press. However, this may play into the jacks here since Romeo is sitting on another 2 jacks. And there it is. Okay, so that's check. Romeo's got 12 points. DP needs to answer somehow. Romeo specifically needs their 10 to win. The 2 on the jack can then be countered. So unless DP is sitting on a second 2, which they are. Okay, so the jack is countered. Now they jack. Romeo will jack again, it seems. All right, so this is check one more time. DP needs another answer. They could scuttle their way out. Oh, they don't have an answer. Romeo takes it. That's 2-0 for Romeo. Wow, this is really, that's painfully slow. Okay, so Dylan Fryer and the Neo Sloth. 2-0. And then HF Romeo is 2-0 against DP. Mercy, please, challenge. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right, so that means HF Romeo is the finalist from the winners bracket. DP is going to play the winner of Dylan Fryer and Dan Mann's match. And then the winner of that subsequent match will come back to play against Romeo in the championship. Yes, so we oh my gosh. I misscored the previous one for exactly that reason. HF Romeo and DP, your match is not over for exactly that reason. Thank you kindly. I really appreciate. So the loser semifinals is the match after yours. But the winner's semifinals, because it's the match that then puts you in the finals, if that makes sense. So actually, HF Romeo and DP, you have at least one more game to play. I apologize for miscommunicating the score, and thank you, Dilfry, for catching that. Semifinals are best 3 out of 5. So Romeo and DP, did you both catch that? All right, sweet. Okay, so this is game 3. Dilfra of Romeo versus DP Brian. And this is the winner's semifinals, so it's played best 3 out of 5, which is the gotcha that that Dilfra just reminded me of, thankfully. Okay, do we have another match scored? Okay. Okay, good question from chat. Top 4 will be HF Romeo, DP, Dylan, and Dan. Yes, correct. Aragosa just chimed in. So at this point, the top 4 of this tournament is settled. It's Romeo, Dan Mann, Dilfry, and DP between the 4 of you, which means that the 4 of you are the ones who have won spots to compete in Worlds next Saturday. But the rest of this still determines like who is the champion of the Spades season. All right, so let's see. Okay, so that that is 3-0. Okay, the score. What's the score in your match, Dilfry and Danman? Thank you. Okay, so game 2, Dilfry versus Dan Man. Let's watch both their streams. There we go. Nice. Okay, so Dan Man's turn. Laying down a queen. That'll protect their future plays. Responds with a 4. Getting rid of the 6 and 7. Dan Man starting an offense. He's got the 10 of spades out. One more play would be check. Okay, a preemptive queen. But now it is check. King 10, and that's the 10 of spades. Here comes an ace one-off. Dilfry's got a 2 coverage, but doesn't need it. But now the 10 of hearts. 10 of hearts would be a very strong offense from Dan Man. So does Dan Man respond to this by putting a check? Oh, the King 10 offense is devastating. Very, very threatening. Okay, but Dilfry 2s their way out of it. Now doesn't have any 2s, though both players have a 3. Dan Man cannot win here with an offense, but they could threaten a check. However, there's actually no tangible value for bluffing because Dilfry can't answer. Dilfry wouldn't have an answer to the 10 of hearts currently. Okay, so ace is the medium conservative play here, and that keeps the 10 of hearts in Dan Man's hand. Ooh, probably want to play the 1-off instead of her points there. All right. What will Dan Man choose? Is it another king? Okay, so Dilfry has the opportunity to 3 here for an answer to the King 10 threat. But Dan Man's got a counter. So that counters the 3. It's Dan Man's turn. King with the 10 for the win, and Dilfry does not have an answer. They have to draw. And Exaxes with no cards left in hand for the finesse win. Dan Man puts it 1-1. Okay, 1-1. Going into game 3 of the losers' 4th round. The winner of this match will go on to play against DP in the losers' semifinals. All right, an early 4 by Dilfry makes Dan Man discard, ditching a 7-6. Ooh, we have a glasses. Okay, so Dan Man knows what Dilfry has. No secrets to be had here. 4's back. Interesting. Okay, so ditching 2 jacks. Dilfry coming in with the 6. Get rid of that glasses. I don't want you to see my hand. Oh man. 4 when you got 3 cards hurts like heck. But not quite as bad as having this countered and then going down to 0 cards. Okay. Dan Man lets it go. Wants to have their own 2 rather than going ham, as it were, for the discard. And gets another glasses 8 out. Really values that information. But here, Dilfry's pushing an offense. So let's see how this pans out. That's a check. Dan Man has to answer. Dan Man can see the cards that Dilfry has and knows that Scuttle will get them out of this situation. So they scuttle. They're still in it. But Dilfry has the board. They press check again. Dan Man looking to answer with a 2. That destroys the King of Hearts. Can't be countered because Dilfry doesn't have any points. And now a quick 6 back is a 1-for-1 trade. Dilfry says, quit playing those 8s. I don't want you to see my hand. All right, so here's 7. Heart of the cards is good. It grabs a jack, which can be used to steal the 9. 5 to draw 2. Heart of the cards yet again. This is a much more awkward pull from those two. So picks the 2 for points, which is technically check. He's got 11 points, which means if Dan Man had a 10, he could win. He didn't have it, but didn't need to. Dilfry continuing to press. All right. Let's somewhat reset things for a bit. Dan Man's taking stock of the scrap, trying to assess what they might be able to take with a 3 and generally perhaps get the lay of which cards are still on the table, as it were, in the deck, rather, around. Okay. Back to Dilfry. Also pondering the scrap. Doesn't have a 3, just assessing the situation. 5 to draws. Easy choice. And here we see the heart of the cards yet again. Dan Man, 3rd glasses 8 of the game. And then a 6 is a 2 for 2 trade. Counting the 6 in the glasses is lost by Dan Man, and then the Queen King lost by Dilfry. All right. We have seen so many glasses played and destroyed by 6s this game. It's a rare happening. Pretty cool. All right, so now both drawing cards, trying to get enough that they can mount a threatening offense. Dilfry with the queen on the board is the only permanent in play. Who's going to be the first to push an offense? The 4th glasses 8 of the game. Holy cow. I don't think I've ever seen a game where all 4 8s were played for glasses, and definitely not by the same player. Dan Man has single-handedly played all 4 glasses. That's got to be a record. All right. The 3 is countered. Dan Man doesn't have a counter back, but plays another one. No, but Dilfry plays 3. Okay, chooses a 2 themselves. Got it. So they countered Dan Man's 3 and then took a 2 back. It's almost like they countered Dan Man's 3 with Dilfry's 3, essentially. So Queen King is his strong setup. It's very vulnerable to a 6. Queen, 10, King of Spades. 10 of Spades, I should say. Can't be scuttled by either of those 10s, which means this is good game because Dan Man can only play the ace to defend against this at this point, and that ace can be countered by Dilfry's 2. Dan Man won't have an option to counter back, even if they had a 2, which they don't. The queen blocks. So there's a yeah. That's a tough situation. So Dan Man's sitting on the low 10s there. Meant they couldn't scuttle their way out of that situation. And they had to play it countered. Yeah, thanks so much for playing. Great games. Really good stuff. Was that a 2-1? All right, so Dill Fry proceeds to play DP in the loser semifinals. So this is now best 3 out of 5. Okay. Yeah, sorry, I'm having a bit of trouble keeping up with the chat as the games are just like coming in so fast. So for anybody who's with us who didn't catch this, the top four of the Spades tournament are Romeo, Dilfry, DP, and Dan Man, which means all four of them qualify to compete in the Cuttle World Championship next Saturday. So stay tuned for that event. That'll be the most competitive tournament in the history of the game. You'll have 12 contestants, the best from the year-long performance of the first season of competitive Cuttle in the history of Cuttle, I should say, which of course also means in the history of the universe, for what that's worth. So really exciting stuff. Congratulations to all of the top four contestants. Now we're competing to see who will be the champion of the Spades season, which just finished as of the new year, essentially. So for those of us who are new to the competitive format, the structure is that the year is divided because there are 52 weeks in a year, 52 cards in a deck. We split the year into 4 seasons, 1 per suit, with 13 weeks each. And at the end of each 13-week season, in this case, we just finished Spades, we have a season championship tournament. So this is the Spades championship tournament for the last 13 weeks of play. And the top 4 players earn spots to compete in the World Championship, which happens at the end of the year, right after the Spades Championship. So that's actually, it's the beginning of the new year, essentially. So next Saturday, January 14th, we will host the Cuttle World Championship with the top 4 players from this Spades tournament and the top players from each of the previous seasons over the years who are largely absent from the current Spades tournament. So it's really going to heat things up as we get the combination of the Spades champions and the prior season players as well. But this has been a great tournament so far. We've seen some excellent games, really scrappy back and forth with a combination of all kinds of variety. Some of these stalemates and games grinding all the way through the end of the deck, as well as much quicker games where somebody just squeaks out a win using some tricky plays and the heart of the cards, essentially. All right. Scuttling their way out of it. This is a scrappy situation. So currently DP is up in value. Oh, and that 4 hurts right now. Imagine, yeah, they're keeping the 10 of spades. So Dilfry is sitting on some high points and a means to put Ryan in check. King of spades is strong here, but jacks could be devastating potentially because Dilfry doesn't really have an answer to jacks. Okay, now they do, though. Between the queen and jacks, this might position Dilfry to mount their own offense. However, it also could give DP chance to mount an offense of their own, which could slow Dilfry down. We'll see. Right now, after choosing whatever card they take, okay, DP takes 10 of hearts. So that means they have 6 cards in hand, 7 cards total for their value. Dilfry sitting on 5 cards total, but with 2 on the board. So Dilfry has the initiative and could potentially, actually, right now they have more utility, but DP has the initiative. They put Dilfry in check. Jack turns that around, however, and now Dilfry's got DP in check. That is a big 6. Oh, how climactic. Now does that ace is a very timely draw for Dilfry. So an early ace here is a 1-for-1. It's not the dream. You often want to go for a 2-for-1 for aces, but with the queen on the board, any one-offs or counters the DP plays are uncounterable. So it's a conservative option to try to play the ace early and just make sure that it either resolves or costs your opponent a 2 before it costs the game. Tough choice here. Dilfry takes the points. Oh, that's a harsh 4. They keep the 10, so they want their win condition, and they draw another ace, but they don't have enough to win yet. 2s are super powerful, but they're sort of ineffectual while DP is sitting on that queen. How's this going to shake out? All right. So Vilfra's taking the lay of the situation, trying to decide. All right, so how to navigate this? Dilfra could push offensively, but drawing more cards. Okay, so this is now both players are one card away from check. So double eights, 16 points. That's check for Dilfry, or Dilfry's putting DP in check. DP scuttles their way out of it. Dilfry follows up again with more double eights. This is 16. That's check to DP. DP needs an answer. They 7. Okay. They part of the cards pay off today. And DP pulls the ace. Oh, out of the bag. There was a moderate chance of getting it because we're down to the end of the deck, but certainly wasn't certain. Now, a 2 from Dilfry means that Dilfry does not have the points to win this game. It is impossible to achieve anything other than a draw or a loss. So presumably Dilfry is going to save those 2-point cards to try to scuttle whatever offense DP can mount and aim for a stalemate. That's the best they can do. But notice DP is sitting on 6 cards in hand. So, and already has a king on the board, which means even if Dilfry scuttles twice, that'll leave DP with 4 cards in hand. Oh, a 3 is really scary in this situation because DP can get any card that they want. I mean, they can't pick the 10 of spades, the 10 of diamonds, or the king of spades because they're already taken, as it were. But otherwise, they could get any card in the deck. They choose the 10 of clubs. Okay, so if they have a second king right now, there's nothing that that Dilfry can do about it. Okay, Dilfry's got to scuttle their way out of this. That hurts. Destroying a 6 with a 10 is a costly thing. Okay, we see yet another scuttle. Does DP have the points to win with the remaining 3 cards in their hand? We're at the end of the deck. Oh, a 2 is not a lot. A second 2. Oh my gosh. Didn't have it. That's a stalemate. Okay. Climactic. Oh my goodness. Holy cow, y'all. What a game. Is this game 2 now? All right. Nice. Yeah, that was a hell of a game. Down to the end there. Okay, so stalemates don't count towards the best 3 out of 5, which means we're sort of at a clean slate here. Both players trying to land that first win. And everybody's drawing, trying to get enough that they can mount a threatening offense. What will Dilfry discard? An ace and a jack. Okay. So now they're drawing again. Ooh, 10 of spades. Always notable when somebody pulls that. And Dilfry's sitting on a 2 in hand. Feeling confident, I imagine, in this situation. Looking to push an offense. We'll see how it pans out. Ooh, DP responding with offense of their own. usually betrays a jack, as it were, because that's a good way to turn around an offense. Given that Dilfry had the opportunity to play, oh, that's a good game. All right. Calling a bluff. Didn't pan out. All right, so that is a 1 win for Dilfry and 1 stalemate against DP. Here's game 3. Early 4. We will see what DP discards. 2 7s. I'm betting we're going to see both of those 5s played back to back. Oh my gosh, 5s on 5s all day. 5 of diamonds. All right. Starting to get enough that Dilfry could mount an offense if they push for it. Doesn't mean it would work out necessarily, but they at least have enough points to win. With a king in hand, the points are more valuable because if you play a king and a point card, then there's no defensive option that will clear both of them at the same time. Whereas if you play 2 point cards, an ace would destroy them 2 for 1. If you played 2 royals, a 6 would destroy them 2 for 1. Oh my gosh, we're seeing so many royals here. So currently, DP has the initiative. They could win if it comes to a race and everybody's just playing right now. Granted, Dilfry's got a jack, which can turn that around. But Dilfry is up 1 card. Okay, no longer. Now, Dilfry has that queen for utility on the board, but is down a card. 7 to 8 to 7. Now, DP has to play. They're at the hand limit. So they need to do something. They could put out a permanent or play a one-off effect. What are they going to choose? Going for points. We'll see if they continue to press their offense. Dilfry considering their options. They're not at the hand limit, so Dilfry could draw here if they want, or they could push their own offense, which could either consist of points, a king, or a jack. Looks like they're thinking about the jack as their most exciting option. That might potentially open them up to a devastating 6, however. Well, they go for an ace. Because Dilfry has a queen out, their ace can't be countered, which means that was a conservative play. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Couldn't be countered. Okay, so this is check. Dilfry needs to answer. They could scuttle with their 10 or their 6, or they could play the jack to steal. So now DP could continue to push. Big 6 from DP. This is check again. That was a 2-for-0 trade from DP. Great value. Dilfry now looking to push. Oh, DP does not continue their assault, which means that Dilfry has check, but Jack turns it around. This is an awkward 6 for Dilfry because it destroys their own queen, but maybe they have to do it. Otherwise, they scuttle their way out. They also have the option of scuttling that 4 with their 6. Oh, that 4 is devastating. And now Dilfry draws a queen. So they are sitting on slowness and don't have answers. If DP is able to push, it bodes well. But the jack draw was clutch. Granted, this is a bluff. Looks like check, but it's not checking. Oh, that's good game as long as DP has the points to follow it up. Whew. That was some back and forth, folks. Wow. Okay, so this is now game 4. I believe. Yeah, they're 1-1-1. With 1 win each and a stalemate. Okay, so DP versus Dilfry. Game 4. Here we go. DP to play first. They draw. Who will be the first to take the board? Time will tell. Dilfry's thinking about it. They could play one of those 9s. get some points on the board, but they draw. They want to improve their hand, get some insurance against possible answers. DP's got the same choice. First, queen down. Dilfry responds with a queen of their own. Will DP start an offense? No, they draw. So does Dilfry. Who is going to play offense first? And how will they mount it? If either player can get a king on the board, this is a nice time for it because queen king are powerful together, and the fact that in this case DP also has a queen means that a 6, which is normally an excellent answer to queen king, is less efficient here than it normally would be. DP goes offense. Dilfry does 2. This is check to DP. DP needs an answer. What will they play? And both an ace and a 6 are relatively inefficient plays here. Heart of the cards, they get the 6. Oh my gosh. Skin of their teeth. But this is check again. Dilfry's coming in relentlessly. DP needs another answer. They jack. That's check. Back to Dilfry. They need an answer. The highest yielding thing here would be to 9 as a one-off on the jack, which would return it to DP's hand, but it could go badly because then if Dilfry has an answer, interesting, it might not pan out. So an interesting little detail there is that Dilfry scuttled the lower 9 with the 9 of spades rather than the 9 of hearts, presumably because the 9 of hearts has that jack. So if Dilfry is still hoping for a way of destroying that jack, essentially. And is not as concerned about an eventuality where he would need to scuttle with the 9 of diamonds, specifically, as the only card in between, and be unable to do it. Okay, Dilfry mounts his own offense. That's check. DP draws. And good game. Good game. Okay, that is 2 and 1 and 1 to Dilfry, but the match is not over because the semifinals are best 3 out of 5. So Dilfry versus DP, game 5. What's gonna happen? 5s all day. We see 1-5 played. There's 2 more in hand. I'll bet you we see that other 5 played soon, but first the queen secures those future plays. DP says, no, get that out of here. I don't want to see your queen. 1 for 1's it with a 6. DP plays a queen of their own. Heart of the cards. What do we got? Another queen. Okay, queens on queens this game. 10 of diamonds is the first offensive play. That takes the board. And with a queen down, DP has no fear of jacks, which means that if Dilfry continues with offense, ooh, interesting. 6 is a 2 for 1 unfavorable to Dilfry in that situation. That is not what you want to see when you 6 your own queen and your opponent, and then they play a queen right back. Clearly, Dilfry doesn't want that queen here. Wow. Countered. Are we going to see a push for the win right now? DP laying their cards out there. The 8 of diamonds is not enough to scuttle, but the 9 is enough to take out the 8. DP does not have enough to win, so they're forced to draw. Oh, and here we have check again. 18 points. Cannot scuttle. This could be it unless DP is bluffing. This is a tight one here, folks. See, the thing about the 2 in this situation is that if DP doesn't have it and draws here, it's the 2 wouldn't have actually helped because Dilfry didn't have another answer to the other stuff. Like if Dilfry was sitting on a jack, then the 2 would have opened that up as a possible out in that situation. But it didn't matter because DP did have it. So that was like a quick one, folks. All right. Queen on the board. We've been seeing some really strong use of queens this match. And generally this tournament. I mean, they're a very powerful card. In particular, as something that blocks 2s, given the 2s are the strongest card in a vacuum. But queens also block jacks, which are very powerful when they're allowed to do their thing. All right, this is a check, but it is a bluff because Dilfry needs 14 points to win, has only 5, so they need a 9 or more. DP could call that bluff, but they respect the check, play a 6. That's a 2-for-1 trade, unfavorable to DP. So I'd say the bluff is panned out pretty well, though Dilfry still does not have the offensive tools to mount a serious threat. They could bluff check again by playing their 8, but they can't follow it up because they're sitting on all these aces. Aces are very powerful. They can get you a 2-for-1, but it's a difficult situation currently because the ace can only trade efficiently with that 2-for-1 if you don't yourself already have points out. So Dilfry isn't really incentivized to try to use their aces right now. And they're kind of cluttering up their hand without offensive power. But now Dilfry's drawn that 10 of spades, which means playing the 8 for a total of 13 points is a serious threat. 13 points out. Dilfry can win next turn with a 10 of spades. DP needs to answer. DP scuttles their way out, and Dilfry's had such a thin offense that they really don't have the ability to follow it up right now. So they play the queen, protect their future stuff. Considering, it looks like, 2ing DP's queen. Could be, we'll see. All right, looks like we are going to see the 2 to destroy DP's queen. Okay, that's check, but now the jack is opened up because the queen has been destroyed. So Dilfry now has turned it around. This is check to DP. DP 6s, that's a big 6. It's a 2-for-0. Ace is a 2-for-2. We are on even playing field here. Both players are at same number of cards total until now. I mean, DP has played on the board, so they. Okay, Dilfry up 1 card in terms of value. DP got the only card on the board, but it's a utility play with the queen, which means nobody's got initiative. Well, nobody has an offense already started, essentially. And that leaves big open questions about who's got the chops to win. All right, the 6 gets rid of DP's queen, which makes these aces much more threatening because Dilfry is sitting on a 2, which means that when Dilfry aces, even if DP counters with a 2, which they didn't, Dilfry would have been able to counter back. Whereas without destroying the queen, Dilfry couldn't have responded to a counter. This is a harsh 4. Gonna drop DP down to 2 cards. Really asks questions about your priorities in life and in Cuttle when you only have 2 cards to pick. All right. There's the 3 for the king. Heart of the cards. Oh my gosh, are we going to see some 7s right now? 7 for a 7 for a 7. Lands on a king. Okay, so Dilfry has king, king, 10 as an offensive option with 2 2s to counter. That's incredibly powerful. Dilfry plays the king next turn. It's very strong. DP to answer now. One way out of this situation is to have multiple 6s. But DP needs at least 1 2 to pull that off. So if DP has 2 6s and a 2, they got a shot. But this, I think, will be good game because the 6 came out. It's countered. And even if DP has a counter, which they do, see the counter back. Is there a 4th 2? No. GG, folks. Huh. And I believe that is match. Great game. Was that match? As 3-2, right? Yeah. Great match, both of you. Very well played. Okay, so we are on to the finals. And I'll remind you both that this is we're playing with a bracket reset. So Dilfry, you need 2 match wins. Yes, correct. Best of luck. And very well played, everyone. This has been a hell of a tournament. All right, so let me reveal the non-video participants in order to watch Romeo stream and hide them again. That's always a bit of a tricky maneuver. May the best cutler win indeed. All right, here we have game 1 of the 2022 Spades 2022 championship match. Finals between Dilfry and Romeo. See. Romeo, did you let's see, just checking in. Romeo, were you looking for a quick break? Let's see what's going down. We've had a great tournament so far. Some really good cuddle. And again, something that just continues to appeal to me about the game personally is the wide variety of play between the way that players can sort of express their own strategic ideas through the options that they have and the variety that you see in the shuffle of the deck of cards. There's this huge range of short games, long games, medium games, and different flavors essentially that you'll see across each of those lengths of games. So that's something that keeps Cuttle continually exciting. Uh, is just the sheer variety of play, and really for that reason, the best players need to consistently be able to utilize multiple strategies in a way that they can fluidly chain between. Whereas often in other battle card games, like especially collecting card games, trading games of various kinds, you'll see players specialize in certain kinds of strategies that relate to their deck composition. And sometimes players can work with multiple decks. Of course, that's a common thing. Most Magic players, for example, have multiple decks, but it's still very common at high levels of play to see players who have a handful or even one archetype that is sort of their go-to deck. And once you know what deck somebody's playing, that really says a lot about the particular options that they bring to the table strategically. Whereas in Cuttle, like to play at this level, you really need to be able to play offensively, uh, master aggro, but also control as like a slower style where you're grinding opponents out for value, and a chain between those, because suddenly if you're paying attention and sort of know how to make use of the tools that are available to you, you'll often have opportunities to switch from gaining advantage utilizing initiative and sort of offensive plays to in value by grinding the opponent out and having more cards than they do in total. And the reciprocal is also true. I mean, if you're playing for value, there has to come a time where eventually you win offensively by pushing an initiative. Tough 6 here on that 7. Gotta just play it for points, which is not the worst. I mean, ultimately a 6 was downgraded to a 7, but also now Dilfry knows about the 6 in Romeo's hand for that reason. Granted, Romeo's sitting on a second one as well. But it's really that variety of strategies that need to be mastered for high level Cuttle play. That are one of the things that I find so exciting about it, ultimately, because you see players switching styles not only between games, but within the course of a given game as they start utilizing different tools in different ways based on the shuffle of the cards and the way that their opponent is playing. There's so much opportunity for personal expression while fluidly utilizing a wide breadth of tools in Cuttle. So here Romeo's got the opportunity to seize the initiative and put Dilfry in check, or they could continue to improve their hand. Opting for the 7. Let's see what the heart of the cards brings them. A jack is a pretty handy draw in this situation. Certainly better than the 4, because 12 points makes check and also steals Dilfry's points. How is Dilfry going to answer? This is not a nice situation. They basically have to scuttle a 6 with a 10, which is a pretty big delta of 4 ranks. So that should signal to Romeo that the defensive options that are available to Dilfry in this situation are not great. And that is often an indicator of a good time to continue to push an offense. We'll see if he uses the 6 or the 8, perhaps. The 6, so that's the minimum points. Romeo here really looking to force awkward scuttles out of Dilfry, and I think it's going to pan out because Dilfry's got limited options. The only alternative that Dilfry has available is to play the 2 on that jack, but Romeo's sitting on a counter. So Romeo here is in a really strong position, and if they continue to press their offense, Dilfry doesn't have an appropriate answer. So I think we are going to see that play out just so in game 1. Here Romeo's got 15 points, that's check, and the only option available to Dilfry is to counter, or is to 2 that jack, which then Romeo's in a position to counter. And there we have it. Dilfry can't counter back, and that is Romeo's turn. Good game. That's game 1 of the Spades 2022 season championship, which is also a qualifier tournament for next week's World Championship. So for those of you joined us recently or are generally unfamiliar, every season of Cuttle, that's every 13 weeks, we play a season championship, and then the top 4 players from those season championships get to compete in the World Championship at the end of all 4 seasons. So we're coming to the end of the Spades season here. This is the Spades season championship. Top 4 players have already been decided. So now these 2, Dilfry and Romeo, are competing for the honor of the Spades champion role. But both of them we will likely be seeing next week at the World Championship, where they will compete against the other top players from the entire year of this first year of competitive Cuttle. So stay tuned. If you like watching high-level Cuttle play, this is a great week for it. We've got the Spades Championship tournament and then the World Championship. No cards in scrap. So Romeo's got the utility with that queen and an ace in hand, which makes for a very threatening combination, because if Dilfry plays an additional point card, Romeo is guaranteed a 2-for-1 out of that ace. That's some high value, unless Romeo themselves starts to push for points. So now that ace is no longer a clean 2-for-1, but ball is back in Dilfry's court. Granted, Romeo's sitting on jacks, which means that if Dilfry plays points, Romeo is now in a position to get a nice strong jack here, and with a queen 2 in hand, this is a strong situation for Romeo. Dilfry would be remiss to play that 2 because it'll get countered by Romeo, and then Dilfry can't counter back, which means the option is to scuttle. Notably, Dilfry destroys the 10 rather than the 9 because the 9 is still stolen by a jack, and Dilfry has hopes of eventually recovering it. But not this time, because Dilfry is going to scuttle again. Still, a 6 is a very strong option if Dilfry can pull it off. In the meantime, they're going to scuttle. No 6s in the scrap pile, I believe, at this juncture, which means Dilfry can't 3 for that sweet 6 to destroy both royals in play.
Hey, how's it going?
And we're back, folks. Okay, so this is game 3 of the Spades 2022 Championship Finals between Dilfry and HF Romeo. Romeo to play first. Both players trying to mount or gain enough cards that they're in a position to mount an offense. Dilfry hitting Romeo with a 4. See what Romeo chooses to hold on to. What they choose to lose. How much does Romeo value that queen? Notably, interesting choice of the of discarding the 8 over the 7s. The 8 is obviously able to scuttle more and is harder to scuttle, but the 7 one-off effect can really get you out of a tight situation. So Romeo prioritizing that while still looking to keep their offensive options. They ditched the queen 8. Getting the king on the board. So Romeo does have the tools to put Dilfry in check, but not opting to press it right now as they don't have much beyond that. Hitting Dilfry with a 4, though Dilfry is able to discard 2 cards relatively comfortably in this situation. Notably looking to keep the 3 in their hand. We'll see how that 3 pans out, what they want to make use of with it. So Romeo's got the 14 points they would need to win theoretically, but they don't have much to defend their offense, so they could push it, but it would be pretty aggressive without a lot of backup. Okay, there's the 3. We'll see what's chosen. Dilfry taking the queen, looking to protect their other plays, make their one-offs uncounterable. Romeo draws. Oh, didn't quite go through. Reconsidering. Will Romeo play that 7? That would be a strong check. Well, not a strong check, but it would be check. Romeo's considering what's in the scrap, thinking about what cards are left in play. Going for the one-off. We'll see what they pull. Well, first, Dilfry's opportunity to counter. Ooh, that's a big 7 right there. Oh, goodness. Okay. This is some chutzpah from Romeo. Okay, so the king requires a 10. Oh, but it gets 6'd. That hits both cards. Fairly powerful play from Dilfry there. Queen's on the board. Romeo trying to muster enough points in hand to press an offense. Now they have it. But Dilfry is sitting on aces and two twos. So points would be unfruitful for Romeo right now. All right. Romeo going for the six, which is a 1-for-1 trade with the queen, but Dilfry counters, can't be countered back because the queen is still on the board. Dilfry's turn, plays the 7. Now the king, okay. Dilfry starting to mount their own offense. Romeo's looking for an answer. They play a 3 in the hopes of getting something that can address this. They pick the 6. Ooh. Interesting choice. So Dilfry is sitting on queen 2. Like queen on the field, 2 in hand, which means they've got an uncounterable counter. So if Romeo plays a 1 off here, like the 6 to get the 2-for-1, then Dilfry can counter and win the game. So the conservative thing for Romeo is to scuttle here. And they opt to play it safe. And now Dilfry's out of gas. They have to draw. They don't have enough points to win. They do, again, however, here we see the counter. It's uncounterable itself. So now Dilfry wants to continue their offense. They're notably playing low to high here, which is interesting because the 5 is much easier to scuttle than the 9. But now Romeo has to scuttle a 5 with the 10 of spades. That hurts so badly. Dilfry draws and now has an answer, but another 3. Romeo pulls a 6, which is just what Romeo needs to clear that queen-king combo. Dilfry could play offensively and put Romeo in check, but Dilfry doesn't have an answer to the 6. So the 6 will go off, and all of a sudden these 3 jacks that are sitting in Romeo's hands, which have been completely unusable, will come online and become devastating threats. So now Dilfry's offense is stopped in its tracks. Oh, but another queen. That's such a fortunate draw for Dilfry. These 3 jacks that are sitting in Romeo's hand can't be played. Oh, that hurts for Romeo. Romeo does have an option to scuttle their way out, though. They can play the 9 of spades to scuttle the 9 of diamonds. And they remain in this game. Dilfry now is a 2 in hand, which means they've got the queen-2 combo. Very powerful, but notably not enough points to win. Oh, there's another 2. Dilfry is sitting on so many 2s, but doesn't have an offense. Plays a 5, wants to just draw some cards. Okay, that's more threatening. That's more like it as far as Dilfry is concerned. Now they have enough that they could win. And now they don't. But they're at 8 cards, so Dilfry has to play. So will they choose offense? 8 for points. Back to Romeo. Romeo draws. All right. Dilfry now has enough points that they can put in a threatening check. Okay, Romeo starting their own offense with a king. Dilfry claps back with a 4. I think Romeo's going to discard some jacks because what are they going to do with 3 jacks against a queen they can't destroy? What will they choose? Yeah, 2 jacks. It's those. It hurts to get rid of jacks like that because they can be so powerful, but without an answer to the queen, those jacks have just been dead weight in Romeo's hand. So that 4 didn't actually hurt very much, I suspect. Romeo draws. Will Dilfry pick up the last card? They do. Dilfry doesn't have the points to win. They need Romeo to play offense and steal it, but Romeo can see the whole scrap pile. They know what's left in the deck, and they'll know that Dilfry doesn't have the points to win. That's a tough break for Dilfry, not pulling sufficient offense. But that said, I think we are likely looking to stalemate this game because I think it's going to be difficult for Romeo to get around those aces. Since Dilfry is sitting on queens, like a queen on the board with 3 aces in hand, I don't expect there's an offense that Romeo can mount that'll get around it. But we'll see. Time will tell. Romeo hits that queen. I mean, Dilfry hit the queen. Dilfry counters. How's this going to play out? Dilfry's got the value. And Romeo really can't land those points on the board because Dilfry can scuttle. I mean, Dilfry can play the ace or scuttle for that matter, since the 10 of hearts is the high point here. So I think that is it, folks. Unless Romeo plays points, we've got ourselves a stalemate. Double queen. Interesting. I don't think it'll matter. Kill my mic for a sec. Quite a fight to the end there. All right, and we're back, folks. So this is game 4 of the Spades 2022 Cuttle Season Championship between Dill Fry and HF Romeo. Okay. Congratulations. So that was 3-0-1. All right, well, congratulations, Romeo. You are the Spades 2022 champion of the 4th season of the first year of competitive Cuttle. Very well played. Thank you all for watching, and I hope the folks watching on Twitch will join us next time, this coming weekend, Saturday the 14th, for the Cuttle World Championship, where Romeo and Dilfry, our finalists from the Spades season, will compete alongside the other top players from the past year. This has been a hell of a tournament and a fantastic first year for competitive Cuttle. So thank you everybody for participating. Romeo, Dilfry, very well played. Congratulations. And I hope to see you both next Saturday. Thanks, folks, for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this stream, and I hope you'll catch us next time, this coming weekend on Saturday, the 14th of January, for the Cuttle World Championship. All right, before we kill the stream, does anybody have questions about the game, the community, where you can play online at cuttle-cards, or tournament structure, etc.? Again, I hope everybody enjoyed this season championship. It's really been an exciting tournament, and just so cool to watch the competitive scene blossom over the past year. It's really, again, come a very long way. That I will mark the season champion. Okay, well, thank you all for watching. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I will hopefully catch you all next time. Again, this coming Saturday for the Cuttle World Championship. I'm LF1. I run cuttle.cards, and it's been a privilege playing and watching with you all. So thank you, and have a great night. See you next time.